Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to cover what is going on between Rich Lux, Eugenia Cooney, Jeffree Star, Jessie Smiles, and Lily. So Jessie and Lily have the Do We Know Them podcast, which I actually really like that podcast. And I really like Jessie and I really like Lily. And I've seen that they made a podcast. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw that they made a podcast in which they talked about Rich Lux and Eugenia and Jeffree. And I actually am considering watching that first. I'm considering watching that first to kind of let them talk and hear what they have to say. Do people want to watch that first? Because Rich has done a response. But if people want to watch that first to kind of let them say their piece and hear it, we can do that. Do we want to do that? I think that'd be better for context. Do you allow everyone to have their say? To allow everyone have their say, I feel like that's probably what we should do. So we'll do that. So, the Do We Know Them podcast, they have an episode called Jeffree Star and Rich Lux helping Eugenia Cooney and TikTok rabbit holes. So we'll watch this to kind of allow them to have their say. Then we'll allow Rich to have his say. I don't want to speak for anybody. I want everyone to have their opinions out there first and foremost. And we will go from there. Now, let's talk about Eugenia Cooney for a second. Eugenia is someone who, if I can be 100% real with you, I, in the past, have felt so protective of her. And me and Eugenia have had drama before. Like, if anyone remembers the VidCon situation, like, me and Eugenia have had drama before. And she was so sweet to me through all of that. And we had our back and forth. And we agreed to disagree. And she was always very respectful of me online, and I tried my best to extend that to Eugenia as well. And in any conversations that we had, they were always very public. And one thing that Eugenia Cooney did for me was she really, really, really helped me whenever I first started streaming on Twitch. And that's something that I'll always be very grateful to her for. She very much so extended an arm to me and helped me with the world of Twitch, which was something that I didn't really understand. And whenever I first did my first couple streams, Eugenia we had like similar audience crossover, and there was a couple streams where we had ended up rating each other, and then there were a couple streams as well where we would go on at the same time. And Eugenia used to do I don't know if she still does them, whatever, the Just Dance streams. And then I loved Just Dance whenever I was a kid. And I started doing the Just Dance streams on my Twitch as well. And that lasted like a week or so, or however long it lasted. Her community were always very nice to mine, and I always tried to make sure that mine was to her. And then whenever it comes to Eugenia, it's a conversation that I had to realize at a certain stage that the people around her did not have her best interest. And I never wanted to be swept up in the universe of people thinking that I was ever using Eugenia, or people thinking that I was ever exploiting Eugenia. So it just kind of was a natural, what's the word? Like a natural, we just kind of stopped interacting on social media because I just never wanted to be perceived in that light, whether it was intentional or not from me. And it never was. And I just think that it was always very, very hard for me whenever I always had a very sweet interaction with her, and then hearing so much background, looking into things further, it was very, very, very complicated, and it was a situation that I didn't want to be a part of. And I just thought that while with Eugenia Cooney, there's only one person who can properly want help for Eugenia Cooney, which is Eugenia Cooney. I never wanted my audience to ever perceive me as someone who was trying to encourage anybody who was struggling. So for me, my opinion on where I stand now with Eugenia is that I will always wish the best for her. But I just am not involved with that, anymore. And I hope people can respect that as well, where it's like, I just kind of want to be uninvolved in it. And I also just wish her well. It's like, there's no part of me that ever wants to be negative towards her, because the internet is negative towards her, and I don't want to add to that. I have made videos in the past, over the past couple years, where I have called Eugenia Cooney out. I have talked about her impact online. And then whenever I had a personal interaction with Eugenia Cooney, it made me feel so awful about those videos that I had posted in the past. And so then whenever I sat with it for a while, that's where I had to take myself 100% back from it. 100% back from it. And so the conversation that is happening now is that people are saying that Jeffree Star specifically is exploiting Eugenia Cooney. And I have been seeing it go on. I just kind of haven't been engaging with it whatsoever, because it's not a healthy conversation for me to interact with in any way. And I think at a certain stage, I will always really wish Eugenia well. I really, really, really do. And again, she really has done a lot to help me in the internet world, specifically when it came to Twitch, and I'll always appreciate her for that. But I'm also not ignorant, and I'm not ignorant to things that are going on, and I'm not ignorant to conversations at hand. And at a certain stage, whenever I really started to get in the depths of things, when things were getting sent to me and stuff like that, it just felt to me that I couldn't be a part of it. Whenever, even if my intentions myself were, she's been really sweet to me, and I just want her to know that I'm like a nice person. That sounds so cringy to say, but it's like, from someone who did make critical videos of her in the past, I just would never want her to think that way of me. So that's when I took myself back from it. And my opinion now on her is just, I don't engage with anything, and I wish her well. And I have been seeing, these TikTok battles with all these different creators and stuff. I just, it's not something I really engage in or look for. And I will always wish her well, and I will always wish the best for Eugenia. And I am aware that there is a lot of things that Eugenia Cooney has done online that people absolutely do not like her for. That do not like her for. And that is 100% valid. I'm speaking on when people say to me, like, well, what's your opinion on her now and stuff? If I'm being 100% honest with you, more than I ever have been in the past, I had to take myself away from the conversation, because it turned into a conversation of, is Adam McIntyre enabling Eugenia Cooney? And whether my intentions were just that she was being really fucking nice to me and I wanted to be nice back to her, it was being perceived in a certain type of way. And when the conversation then started to turn into, is Adam McIntyre promoting this or promoting that? As someone who has very much so struggled with body image, and I have been open about this in the past, as someone who has struggled with body image and struggled with, even still to this day, I could not exist on an internet where I was being attached to certain conversations. If I'm being 100% real with you, I couldn't exist on the internet being attached to those certain conversations. So before we get into this, I do just want to say that my closing take is, I will always wish her well, and I just hope she's doing fine. I understand that there are things that people do not like her for on the internet, That's absolutely fine. There's things that people don't like me for on the internet. That's absolutely fine. I just couldn't be involved in the conversation anymore. So that's kind of where I end it. So I know people have been asking me for a very long time to cover this. It just was something that I needed to take a step back from, if I'm being 100% real. And I'm sorry if that is frustrating, or I'm sorry if that is not what you want to hear, because I can also understand that if I talk about this or I talk about that, well, why aren't you doubling down on this, or why aren't you like, I 100% get it. And if I'm sounding like a hypocrite here, then I apologize for that. But there's nothing more truthful within me than what I'm saying now, that at a certain stage, the conversation got so swept up with that I realized that I couldn't just be like, I wish her well, without it being deemed as something that I didn't think it was. So yeah, that's just kind of where my closing is at it. And I'm sorry if I've disappointed people by not talking about the topic. I also know that there's a lot of people who are talking about Eugenia Cooney that I don't feel the need to talk about Eugenia Cooney. And I apologize again if that's not what you want to hear. I understand why that is probably not what you want to hear. But for me personally, I can't bring myself to create that type of content. So again, to kind of circle back and end the thought, that's where I'm at with it. It was a case of, I had made Eugenia Cooney videos in the past. I had went very into detail whenever it comes to what I thought she was promoting, what I thought she was doing, and then, years later, Eugenia and I got in our own dispute, and then that was solved, and it was kind of mutually very respectful. And then a while after that, whenever I was starting on Twitch, she was very helpful in helping me with Twitch, because we had a little bit of a community that was coming and going from both streams, and she welcomed me with open arms and helped me a lot. And then when she would pop into my streams, or I would pop into her streams, it turned into something to the public that I then felt very uncomfortable with. So I had to pull myself back from it. And it's the reason I don't talk about topics to do with Eugenia Cooney, because I know that there are so many other people, and I don't feel that I have anything to add to it, because it feels so overwhelming of a topic. And again, I apologize if that's upsetting. Babe, you've repeated yourself in a circle 10 times now. Okay, well, maybe that's whatever. So yeah, there's my little opening take. We will jump into this now. I know that people have been wanting me to talk about this. So let's do it. We are going to start with the Do We Know Them? They did this video, and we'll go from there. And then we'll get to Rich Lux's response, and let's do it.